Hey everybody, it's Bo and Kimberly again with Responsibly Dangerous.
Hey guys.
And so we're going to talk about we're talking about our build not break series.
Last time we discussed should you be working together?
Should you be working together? Now we're going to start on how to work together. Start to build together. Maybe you're working two separate jobs still and stuff. So how do we actually start making the kind of switch over into working together and actually being one flesh, not only in our
marriage,
not only in our at home life.
Yep.
Right, the at-home side of our marriage and our family life and stuff. But also in our industrial side, we might say, and
our work life.
In our work life,
People like to talk about it, and they call it a work-life balance.
Yeah, the work-life balance, which is an absolute misnomer. There is no such thing as healthy work-life balance. It does not exist.
No.
Either you're going to be improperly balanced to one side, or you're going to be improperly balanced to the other side. And if you are doing that independently of each other, you are creating a natural break point in your marriage. It's only a matter of time till it starts making impact, but you're creating a natural break point. So the first step in actually bringing this together and working together can happen even while you work two separate jobs.
It can, yeah. You can start it right now if you guys are not working together already, but desire to, or it's set up for the future to be working together.
Or maybe you're having problems in your marriage and you're hearing this for the first time and realizing that maybe part of the problems are because you're living two separate lives and then trying to meld two separate lives together for a brief period of each day instead of making a long-term sustainable single life in your marriage.
So where do you start?
So where you start is with your marriage's why, with your why, right? And there's books written on this, the idea of, in fact, there's one that's start with why and stuff. The concept's not a new concept. I'd love to say we just made this up. We didn't make this up. This has been around for a long time and long before us. But usually when a person talks about their why, they talk about their individual why. And
we really want to focus on
a
combined why between the two of you. Now, I know the first thing that you're thinking is, well, but they won't think of me and it won't be about me. I won't ever get to enjoy my part of the why. And when you combine the two whys together, it allows for the perfect cohesive relationship with one another.
The Bible talks about submitting yourselves one to another. It talks about it in subject of the church, but I think that this also applies within a marriage, the idea of submitting one to another. And you say, well, the Bible also says that wives are supposed to submit to husbands, except for...
Wait a minute.
When we talk about the idea of the husband giving himself to the wife like Christ gave himself to the church, there is a sacrificial submitting that even the husband's supposed to do. There's submitting both ways. So really part of this working correctly as far as building a uniform why for your marriage, part of it starts with actually being willing to communicate and submit sections of your why and pull it together until you can come up with one that the two of you really fall in love with. And then I would say even beyond that the two of you have really prayerfully sought before God how to, or whether or not it's something that he desires and it's honorable to him. So the first thing that we do in this is we do have to start exploring the things that we are interested in. And one of the things that you have to understand is the Bible says, how can two walk together lest they be in agreement? And I think that oftentimes marriages walk in parallel. Well, isn't that what we're supposed to do, Bo? No, it's not. Because things that are in parallel are not truly together. You say, it seems like they're together.
What's the example you're always using? You have two people that are driving
on the same freeway, going the same direction at the same time. Well, they're together, right?
Nope.
Not necessarily, because maybe you and I happen to be on the same freeway at the same time, going the same direction, and so there is an immediate seeming of togetherness, but at the same time, we're not really together if your off-ramp's different than mine.
Yep.
And
a lot of times that's when the why really goes awry, is when you're seeking to get off the ramp.
Yeah.
And how many times have we seen,
Well,
unfortunately?
why do so many marriages, I mean, think about it, why do so many marriages succeed for a time and then just hit a period where there's a period of change? I think of it, there's a massive rise, and we're just now empty nesters. But so in the reading and studying of that, there's a massive rise in America of empty nesters splitting up, which is, it's crazy. People who've been together 18, 20, 24, 25 years, and then they split up. It's crazy.
It is.
But the reason why is because the why that they had was a why of parallel, not a why of true togetherness. They were together, and they were together through this thing, or in parallel through this thing of child rearing and all that. And then they hit the end of it, and the purpose that they had together isn't really a long-standing one. And so it's really important, we believe, to sit down and start communicating and talking about, hey, where are the off-ramps? And if your off-ramp's not the same as hers, you need to start making some work. And ladies, if your off-ramp is different than his, you need to start doing some work and bringing your off-ramps together.
Absolutely.
And so we start with really understanding what our purpose is, and really seeking out those things that interest us and that we desire, and those things that we believe God wants of us, and we really start working those together, and then surrendering those together until we meet a point of uniformity within our why. Now, here's the cool thing about a why, right? If you start doing this, and I challenge each and every one of you to start writing down individually. So usually the best way to do it is to individually start writing down things that are skill sets of yours and interests of yours, and those long-term desires of yours, and start sitting down with those and getting just broad lists together, right? And then once you start getting that broad list together, then I challenge you to come together and start looking at those things, and those things that are in the list that are diametric opposite, because there are going to be some of those.
Yes.
Every couple we have ever worked with on this, there are times of diametric opposite. It's just what it is.
Yeah.
In those times of diametric opposite, then there needs to be a willingness to go, this doesn't work in our marriage. I got to get rid of this thing. Maybe it's something that you feel like really matters. Talk it out, discuss it. Kimberly and I, in coming up with our why, both of us had to look at certain things and go, this doesn't work if we're gonna if we're gonna do this till death do us part.
That's right.
And do it in joy, and do it in peace, and do it in harmony, right?
And successfully.
Because there is that reality of we all also know couples that stuck it out but hated each other through it, and we're not willing to just be married, right? We're gonna pursue successful and joyful and a fulfilling marriage, and so it requires both of us to be willing to submit one to another and cut some things out here and there, right? So we talk about our why, we work through our why, and as we come together and we start working through those things that are skills and interests and desires of ours, right? Some of those things are going to go, but what's going to be amazing, and one of the things I found fun when we were having these talks, and we have these talks on a regular basis because your why shifts and changes as you age, and your capabilities change from what they used to.
Yes.
Aging's a thing, people.
But at the same point, as your mind grows,
some things fall off, some other things get added.
Correct.
So your why changes, right? So you got to kind of continually be having this conversation. But one of the things I found most amazing when we first started having these conversations was how often there would be things that you would write down, or things that I would write down, that the other one of us would go, oh, I never knew you were interested in that. I never knew that was something that you had an interest in or a passion in. And there were things that while we had to give up some things, there were other things that were like, oh, I'll totally give that up for this, because I didn't even think it was an option in our life. And so those were kind of some fun things that happened. Sure. And as you come together and work through these lists and start narrowing these lists down together and putting God first in this, you're going to then take those times and you're going to start seeking God in those times and really seeking out, okay, these are things that interest us and all that. How does that fit into His plan for our life? And really being willing to submit again, a whole nother layer of submitting, but pair out some of those additional things by by really seeking before God for what He has for you, that not just things that are of interest. One of the crazy things in that I have found is, the Bible says, delight thyself also in the law of the Lord, and He'll give you the desires of your heart. And what's interesting to me is there have been things that I've thought, no, that's a frivolous desire. There's no way God would allow that. And yet, as I have submitted myself to Him, to you and Him, right? We submit together in all this. How oftentimes things that I thought I couldn't even give myself permission to desire, right?
Yeah.
God has opened doors for, which is really an incredible thing when you really think about it. So the first step in working together with your spouse, and this step can be done even while you work in separate jobs or careers. And by the way, I believe every marriage, whether you'll hear to what we're saying on this, even further past this or not, I believe every marriage needs to have a uniform why.
Yes.
You need to have a uniform why. You are a temporary parallel unity if you don't have a uniform why. It's just the reality of it. So you start by really just throwing it at the dartboard and seeing what sticks. Just start writing out those things that you have interest and skill and desire in.
And then comparing them together.
And then comparing those lists. That's where we start, is with that. And you can do this even now. Maybe you're not working together in a business yet. Maybe we got one of our entrepreneurial couples here, and I'm excited to talk to you, excited to meet you, excited to have voice in your life. But maybe you're not there yet. That's fine, right? Start here. Start with your wife. Start with your husband, and start working on drawing out a real solid why statement. Get it on paper. And here's the beauty of this. As you start to move forward, right, like, what do we even do together? Yeah. Right? So we're going to start, maybe you don't have a business together. What are we even going to do together? Right? Well, a real solid why statement helps immensely with that. There's all kinds of times that opportunities present themselves to Kimberly and I, and even ones that we're like, whoa, that's so cool. But then we look at it and it doesn't actually meet up with what our why statement is. And it's like, oh, no need to do that.
Yep.
Cool opportunity. Glad I got the opportunity. Not something I'm going to pursue. Well, why? Because it doesn't meet our why. So it allows you to really pare out a lot of the minutia that happens in life. And what will happen is, if you intend to start a business together, well, what business do we even start together? What do we do together? Right? Well, start with designing a really solid why statement, and then start looking at the things that supply that why and the things that starve that why. The things that supply that why, pursue. Even if other flashy things come going by, they might be, we're sitting here by the river, and I've seen people fishing all day. They might just be fishing lures, right? They got hooks in them. Right? Flashy things might come by, maybe things that are exciting, you're glad they came by, but instead of pursuing them, if you know what your why is, if they don't supply that why, there's no reason to pursue them even. So start by really getting a solid why statement. So we're going to start building our why statement by this. Sit down individually and just start writing down interests and desires and skills and things that you would like to pursue, and just stick it there, right? And once you start to kind of slow down on the bulk of that, sit down together and compare lists. It's really easy to scratch a lot of things off because they're things that literally can't work together with the other ones. Start scratching those off. And there's going to be some hard conversations in that. I remember both of us having things that maybe we pouted a little over having to give up.
Just a little.
Both of us had those things.
But also at the exact same time, there were things that I didn't even realize you would have interest in. And we were able to bring those together as well. So I think that you will surprise yourselves as you start communicating with one another. And please be open, please be honest, and be gracious. With one another. Be gracious with one another.
That's such a powerful thing to say, Kimberly. Be gracious with one another. This is meant to stir hard conversations. Really, doing this right is gonna stir hard conversations. It's meant to stir hard conversations. Don't avoid them, but be gracious about them. Right? So you're gonna have some hard conversations working through this. Be gracious about them, but have the conversations.